So I said sum if is like sum function, but now it's a little bit different because it has a condition. So first you enter in your equal sign, and then you say sum if, and you open a bracket, you select your range. The range you want to sum is from A4 colon. Remember I told you that the colon means move from this point to this point, colon F4. So then you type a comma, space, then you open a quote. Now the condition for this particular example is greater than 40, so greater than sign 40, and then you close the quote and close the bracket. So once you have done that, you press what? Enter. So that will give us 172, like we can see on the screen. So Excel will look for those numbers that are greater than 40 and sum them. So Excel is working with the condition. It's going to sum all the numbers that meets or fulfills the condition. So that's how sum if function works. Sum all these numbers if they meet this particular condition. Do we get that? So that's the sum if function. So I think we are done with the sum function. So we are going to move to summing columns and rows automatically. So I will move back to our sum function. If you look at my the sheet navigation bar, I will go back. I'll come back here. Let me delete all this. I'll click clear content. Okay, so I've cleared all the contents there. So so now I want to sum my rows. I want to sum all these numbers automatically. Now, before when we looked at it, I said if you want to do the sum, you just do equals to sum, open bracket, you take your range, and then you close the bracket and press enter. So that is how you do it normally. But then there's a way you can do it with Excel. Excel will help you sum your numbers instead of you typing a formula. So how do you do that? On the home tab, on the home tab, you see what we call Autosum. That is where my mouse is at the moment. You see what? Autosum. The auto there means automatically sum. So you see Autosum. That's where I'm pointing, if you can see my screen. So what you do is you click on the cell where you want to see your results, and then you click on what? Autosum. Now you just see what happened. Immediately I click on Autosum, Excel will bring the formula for me, and it will show me that it is trying to sum from A3 to F3. So, and then I'll press what? Enter. So what I just did now is I just summed the rows by the left hand side. That's how Autosum works. Definitely you must have your numbers by the left hand side, and then the cell where you want your result will come after all those numbers. So once you click on Autosum, it will sum all those numbers by the left. Always by the left. Yes, by the left. So this is how we sum automatically, like using the sum function. We just sum automatically. We don't have to type anything. So let me do it again for the second row. You click on the cell where you want your result, and you click on Autosum. Now on the the home tab. Remember, the Autosum is on the home tab. So if you are not on the home tab, you won't see the Autosum. Let's say, for instance, you are on Insert tab, like we are at the moment. You are not going to see the Autosum. You are not going to see the Autosum. So you click on the home tab and you see the Autosum by the extreme. So you click on Autosum and you press what? Enter. So you click on Autosum, enter. So you can see what Excel is trying to do now. Let me click Autosum. See, it's trying to add what I have at the top instead of on the left hand side. So there's a way to correct what that, and very soon we are going to talk about that. Now I'm actually doing an adjustment. I'm still using Autosum, but I'm doing some adjustment to the range finder. In this lesson, we are also going to talk about the range finder. So, but I just did some adjustment now with the range finder. So, but let's leave that. So now the Autosum sums the number by the left. By the left. So you can use that if you find that comfortable. You can ask Excel to help you do that. So what we just sum is numbers in a row. We could decide to sum numbers in a column. Let's say, for instance, I want to sum all these numbers I have under number 6. Just all the numbers under the number 6 field. I could come under here. Let me say, come under the number 6. I want the total of all the numbers under number 6. I would click on the cell under, and then I would do Autosum. So you discover that Excel would sum all the numbers above. So this is a column now and not a row like we did before. So it will sum all the numbers in that column, all the numbers above, and give me the results in that cell. So I press enter, it will give me the results. So that's how Autosum works. For column, it will sum the numbers what above. For rows, it will sum the numbers by the left. Do you understand? So if I have numbers here by the right, and I let me clear this cell. If I do Autosum, Excel will ignore the numbers by the right. It's not going to do anything with these numbers. It's only going to sum the numbers what by the left. That's for Autosum. It sums only the numbers by the left. For when you are using Autosum to sum a row, it sums only the numbers by the left. Then if you are using it to sum a column, it sums only the numbers above. You get that? So that means if I want to sum it, in numbers on a column, I have to put my result below, below those numbers, or put them below those numbers, like I'm doing at this moment for this particular column. That's column number 6. So I'm putting the result on that because I know by the time I click Autosum, it is all the numbers that are above that will be summed, or all the numbers on top, at the top. So I click here, do Autosum. Excel sums, give me a formula to sum all the numbers above, and I press enter. So we use Autosum to sum numbers. You discover that Excel didn't pick this, this number 6. It didn't pick the heading. It only picked the numbers, and then give me a formula that I can use to sum all the numbers. So that's like, that could help your work easier, or make the work easier for you. If you if you want to work faster, you could just click and sum your numbers without typing the formulas. Okay, so that's for Autosum. I want to believe some of us might have questions, so we'll still look at that, but let me just run through before we start asking questions. So the next thing we'll look at some statistical functions. I already have them here. We'll look at mean, we'll look at max, look at mass, max, we'll look at max function, we'll look at average, average if, count, count, if, count, count and count blank. We'll look at median, then finally we'll look at the if function. Okay, so let's look at mean function first. The mean function is used to obtain the minimum number within a range of numbers. So if you have a range of numbers and you want to find the minimum number on numbers, you can the minimum number within the number could appear once, it could appear multiple times, but then within that range of numbers, what is the smallest number within that range? If you want to find out, you use the main function. So like I said when we began talking about how you enter formulas, you start with your equals sign. So after typing your equal sign, you type what? Mean, M-I-N, just M-I-N, not minimum. If you type minimum in full, it will not be a formula again. So you just type M-I-N after typing your equals sign. M-I-N, open a bracket, then choose your range or select your range. Our range for this particular example will be A3 colon, that's to F3. Then we'll close the bracket. So mean equals to mean A3 to F3. So Excel is going to go, look through that range and then pick the minimum number, and that will be our result. So I'll press enter now so that we can see the result. So our result is 10.5. So as you can see, 10.5 is the smallest number within the range. Yes, 10.5 is the smallest number within the range that we choose. So let me do it for the next row. Equals to min, open bracket, A4 colon F4. Then I close the bracket, enter. So 12 is the minimum number in that range. So as you can see, 12 is the smallest. So these functions, they come very, very handy. Based on this example now, it's easier for you to, with a glance, identify the smallest number. But when you have a large range of numbers, you might not be able to do that easily by with just a glance. You might need to use this function, and that is what the function does. It picks out the smallest number and gives you the smallest number as the result within a range of numbers. So within a range of numbers, you want to find out the smallest number, use the mean function. So you say equals to mean, min, in short, min, that's what you use. You don't use the full mean. Then you pick your range within the bracket and you would press enter on the keyboard. So that's what the main function does. Then we have the mass function, just the opposite of the main function, maximum. So you see equals to max for max. You open a bracket, you choose your range, A3 colon F3, close the bracket, and you press what? Enter. So the maximum number within the range we selected is what? Is 400. 400. For the second row, equals to mass. You open a bracket, you type A3 colon F3, then you close the bracket and you press what? Enter. Our maximum number is C400. Okay, that's because I selected the same range. So let me change it to 4, A4 to F4. So that means I'm selecting the second row now, as we can see. Then press what? Enter. So the maximum number within the second row, which is the range we selected, is 67. So that is all for the max function. That is all for the max function. So for the next function will be average. The next function will be average. So the average function gives you the average. Now average, remember we are looking at statistical functions, and average is actually arithmetic mean. So and the way a mean works is that it takes some numbers, adds them together, and divide by the amount of numbers that we have. Like for instance, if we want to find the arithmetic mean of 1, 2, 3, it will add 1, 2, 3 divided by 3. So it means we have 3 numbers, so it will divide by what? By 3. So that's how average works. So if we want to find the average of these numbers, Excel will add these numbers and divide by the total number of numbers we have. So the total number of numbers we have is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it will add all these numbers, sum them together, and divide by 6 to give us the average. So all we need to do is just enter a formula, and Excel will do that for us. So we say equals to, then we say what? Average. Average in full. You open a bracket, you take your you select your range, A3, that will be colon, A3 colon F3. Then you do what? You press what? Enter. So equals to average A3 colon F3. A3 colon F3 is our range, as you can see. So you press enter. Then our average is what? 152. 152. Then let's do it again for the second row. Equals to average, open a bracket, A4 colon F4, close the bracket, enter. Our average is 183.333 and all that. So that's how average works. That's how we get the average. We use the average function. So all these things we have been using, they are called what? Functions. Like we could see, we used sum, we used sum if, we used mean, we've seen mass function. So and then we are looking at average. So average, then you select your range. Excel will do the calculation for you. Normally, if we decide not to use the average function, what we'll do is this. We'll say equals to sum, or we could say equals to A3 plus P3 plus C3 plus D3 plus F3. Plus E3. Okay, so I'm using E3. That's the first row. So after adding all this, we close the bracket. I will use my division sign, and then I will now say 6. Now, I'm using I'm not using the average function. This is how we would have done it without using the average function. So I will add all the cells together, A3 plus B3 plus C3 plus D3 plus E3 plus F3. Then divide by the number of numbers. The number of numbers we are adding is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as you can see, then divide by 6. So this is how arithmetic mean is calculated. But there's no need, going through all this stress, because we have a function. That's why Excel have functions, so that we can easily do these things without going through the stress. So I can press enter and I will still get the same answer. As you can see, 152, like we had before, above 152. So it's the same answer, but more stressful. But here I only typed average A3 F3. I'm done, and I have my answer. Here I have to start typing A3 B3. What if I have 1,000 cells to add, or to find the average of 1,000 cells? I'll start typing from 1 to 1,000. That will be stressful. So that's why we have functions. Okay, so that's for average. Then I guess some of us will have an idea of what average if would do. Average if is like works as average, but with a condition, just like we saw when we were looking at sum if. So we saw in sum if that we attached a condition, and Excel was only going to sum numbers that met that condition. So the same thing with average if. Excel is going to give you the average of the numbers that meets the condition you set in your formula. So if we want to use if we want to do average, let's say for instance I want the average of numbers that are greater than or equals to 40 in this particular example. I want numbers that are greater than or equals to what? 40. So I could say equals to average. I open a bracket, and then I say A3 colon F3, and then comma space, then open a quote. My condition will be greater than or equals to 40. Then I close the quote and I close my bracket. Now you can see in this particular case, I'm using greater than equals to. In the sum if example, I use just greater than 40. Now, the greater than 40, it means that 40 is not included. It means that Excel will start from 41. 41 is greater than 40. But in this particular example, I'm including 40 because of the equals sign. So greater than or equals to 40. So all the numbers greater than and equals to 40. So from 40 to, all the numbers are greater than 40. So if I press enter, Excel will go through the numbers, take those numbers that are greater than or equals to 40, add them together, and give me their average. So hash value. Okay, so what's the error? So I'm having an error here. Okay, so we in this same session we are going to come to formula error. We're going to look at error. How do we check for errors? Let me correct this error. We are going to encounter something like this as an example, and then we'll see how we can solve it. Yeah, we'll see how we can solve errors. Then we'll look at formulas. Under formula tab, we'll look at error checking. This is where we'll look at our error checking. So let me just click on error checking. It is going to tell us something. A value used in the formula is of the wrong data type. So our error in the formula is actually, I'm using average instead of average if. Do we get that? I'm using what? Average instead of what? Average if. So that's the error in the data type. So I'll add if there, and then we'll get our what? Our answer. Okay, so average if A3 to F3, comma, open a colon, a quote, greater than equals to 40, close the quote and close the what? The bracket. So let me do that again for the second row. Equals to average if, open a bracket, take your range A4, this time is A4 to F4, and then comma, space, open a quote, greater than or equals to 40, and close the quote and close the bracket. Press enter on your keyboard. So that is how we use what? Average if. Average if. Average if, like I said, works like average, but you must attach a what? A condition. A condition. So it's only those cells that meets or fulfills that particular condition you are setting that Excel will now perform the average function on. So average and if together. Okay, if these cells meet this condition, give me their average. That's what it is. That's the explanation in English. If these cells meet this particular condition, which in this case it is greater than or equals to 40, please, any cell that is greater than or equals to 40, please give me the average. That's just what average if does. Now, the next thing we'll look at is count. I want us to look at count before we come to count if. Okay, so count. The count function is used to count the number of cells that we have numbers. So if you have a group of cells or a range of cells and you want to count the number of cells that has numbers only, that's those cells that have numbers. If you look at our cells now, you discover that we have some cells that are blank. This one is blank. This one does not contain a number. It has text. And then the rest. So we want the count function to tell us, oh, how many cells has numbers. So you just say equals to, you say what? Equals to, and then you say count, C-O-U-N-T, count, open a bracket, choose your range. In this case, it is what? A3 to F3. You close the bracket. So equals to count A3 to F3. So Excel will go through the range and give us the number of cells that have numbers only. So as you can see, it's actually 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's supposed to be 5. So let me complete the range. The range is supposed to end at G3 and not F3. G3. Okay, yeah, so that it will cover all of them. G3. So it's 5. As you can see, this is a number. This is a number that has a currency symbol attached. This is also a number. This is a date, but date is a number. This is a number. This is another number. This is another number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a blank cell. It will omit that. This is a cell that has a text. So it will omit this one. So it will only count the numbers that have, to only count the cells that have what? Numbers. So it will give you the number of cells that contains numbers. So if you want, to count the number of cells that have numbers, just use the count function. The count function will just give you, no matter how many they are, even if they are up to, the number of cells is up to 1 million, just use the count function to go through and give you the number of cells that have numbers. Every other type of cells, it will omit them. cells that have text, cells that have, that are empty or contain some other kind of data, to just leave them and give you the ones that have numbers only. So that's how the count function works. I want to believe we understand that. That's how the count function works. Okay, quickly, we are going to go to the count if function. We are going to go to the count if function. Now, this is a sheet that I prepared that will explain to us very well. Okay, sorry about that. The network is actually network is just showing itself today. So I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's just continue. So this is the sheet that will help us explain how the count if function works. The count if function works differently from the count function. So as you can see, I have serial number, name of staff. It's just a simple sheet. Staff ID, department, Monday, Tuesday. So this is just like an attendance sheet, an attendance record. Understand? So a record that is used to capture the attendance of staff in a particular, for anywhere. So now, so you can see that it's recorded, there's a record for each day. So P represents present, while ABS is for absent. So if the person is absent, ABS is entered, present, like that, for Monday through Friday. So then later on, at the end of the week, there will be a total there will be this field will show the number of times the person was present for the week, and then this will be the number of times the person was absent for the week. You understand? So like that, and that will be done for each staff. Okay, so this is the initial record. Now we want to get the total number of days present. Now how do we get it? First, we could see that we just have P and then ABS. How do we know the number of times this person was present in a week? This one was, So what we use is the count if function. So instead of counting with our eyes and say, okay, this person was present, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, present 4, type 4, absent 1. Instead of doing this, manually, it can be done like this, but it's manual. What if you have 1,000 staffs, or 1,000 names like you have here 15, it's small. What if you have 500? You will not be counting, oh, this person was present 5 times, absent, no absent, so this is manual. But with the count if function, we can easily just do this, and in the next, I can do this thing in the next the next 2 minutes, 1 minute, I could get it done. So what we use is the count if function. We'll use the count if function. So to get this, the total number of days present for this first staff, we'll do equals to count if. I don't know if you can see the screen. I want to make sure that you can see the screen. So you say equals to count if you open a bracket. After you open a bracket, you pick your range. So you pick your range. Our range at this moment is for Monday. All right. Very sorry. Today is awesome. Today is awesome. So today is an awesome day. We use our range. So I've typed the count if function equals to count if. We take the first cell. Now I want to believe you can see the way I'm selecting my range. You can type it or you can use your mouse to click. You click the first cell and click the last cell. I think sometimes it's easier. So you click the first cell, put your colon sign, and click the last cell. Okay, so I've selected the range from E4 to I4. That's Monday to Friday. Then you put a comma and then open a quote. Now, remember we are doing total number of days present. So what we want to target is P. So we'll put P and close the quote. You close the quote and you close the bracket. So now what this thing means is within this range, E4 to I4, all the cells that has the text P, count it for me. So that's what it is. If a cell within this range E4 to I4 has the text P, count it. Give me the count. Just do the count for me. So let me correct this. This should be a double quote. Okay, double quote. So equals to count if E4 to I4 is equals to what? P. So it's saying between the cells E4 to what? I4, check if it has the value P. If it all the cells that have the value P, give me the number of the cells that have the value P. I want to believe you understand that. So all the cells that has P, it's going to count them for us and give us the number. So if I press enter, it will give me what? 4. If it will give me what? 4. So as you can see, we have 4 days that this person was what? So I can just know immediately that, oh, this person was present 4 days. As you can see, just 4P, because we have one absent. The person was absent on Wednesday. So it has counted all the cells that has what? P. So P is the what? Like the condition. So it will check for all the cells that has P and then give me a count of those cells. So I've just done all, the first one. So I can use autofill to get the others. Like I could click on that small dot at the bottom right corner and click and drag down. Excel will give me the value for the rest using the same convention, because Excel will use the same convention like we explained yesterday. Then for the other one, total number of days absent, is the same formula, but this time it will not be P. It's going to be what? ABS. So I'll say equals to count if, open a bracket, select my range, E4 colon I4 comma, open a quote, type what? ABS, close the quote, close the bracket, and press what? Enter. So as you can see now, it's giving me what? 1. So with with this now, I know that the person is absent was just a day. And then I drag down. I have my answer. So I'll finish doing it. Even if I have 2,000 entries, you know, maybe the particular company has 2,000 staffs. I could just do this thing, you know, in 2 minutes and I will be done. I could do this in 2 minutes quickly and we'll be done. So as you can see that the count if function helps us. Now this is one way we can apply the count if function. We can also do, you know, apply it in different ways. Understand? I think it's about you understanding what you want to achieve. Then you know the particular function to use to achieve what you want to achieve. So remember, this is the condition, what we have inside the quote. So whatever we have inside the quote is what Excel will count. You understand? It will count it and give you. So if you want to count a blank cell, do we have a function for counting blank cells? But I can still use the count if function to count blank cells. We have a function called count blank. We are going to look at it next. Okay, so but this is what the count if function is used for. Okay, is there anybody that cannot hear me? Hello? Please, somebody should unmute and respond.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Maybe the person should tap on the microphone button side and then click on this thing. Maybe the person doesn't know how to enable the mic function.
Okay, thank you. Miss Joy, can you hear me now? Miss Joy.
Maybe you should send text to the person. I think the person is still not able to hear you.
Or she can leave and rejoin.
Okay, so we'll just go on. So that is how the count if function works. I want to believe we'll understand that. So if we have question, we'll ask. We've looked at the count function. It counts the number of cells that have numbers. Then we'll have the count A. We have count A and then count.
Baby, he's still talking. Me, I'm not hearing him.
I can hear you. We have count A and count what? And count blank. Now, what the count blank does is that it counts the number of blank cells. So if you want to count the number of blank cells, there was something I was doing, that should be, is it this week? Yeah, this week. So it was this count blank that actually, you know, helped me to achieve that. So, and so like I said, depending on what you want to achieve, you know the function to use. So with this count blank, what you do is you say equals to count blank, open a bracket, and then select your range. Close the bracket. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. So I think I will just bring can you see the screen? Please, let's answer.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, can you see what I'm doing? I want to be sure you can. Okay, I want to be sure. Just send me a text, something, a message on the chat. So that I will see. Okay, if you can see the screen, just send a message on the chat section. Let me know. So, but the count blank counts the number of blank cells within a range of cells. So we can see that it's giving me 2. If you look at this row, you discover that we have only 2 cells that are blank. Just 2 are blank. So the count cells will give me that. So it gives you the number of blank cells. The number of what? Blank cells. So that's what the count cells, the count blank does. The count blank will give you the number of what? Blank cells. Then the count A will give you, it's just the opposite of count blank. Do we understand? The count A is the opposite of.
Yes, I understand.
The count A is the opposite of count blank. So if we want to count the number of cells that are not empty, we use what? Count A. Remember, we have count function. Count function is different from count A. Remember, I told you that count function only counts the cells that have what? Numbers. Only. It's only those cells that have numbers that count cell targets. But count A will count the number of cells that contains, that is not blank. That's those cells that are not blank. It doesn't matter what the cell contains, but as far as the cell is not blank, it will count it and give you count those cells and give you the number of cells that are not blank. So it's just like the opposite of what? Of count blank. So that's why I placed them together here on this sheet. So if you want to use it, you just say what? Count A, open a bracket, and then choose your range. Okay, so choose your range. The range is what? A what? A3 to what?
There's no equal to sign.
Okay. Okay, I was doing that. I was doing that. I was doing that intentionally.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's awesome that we could detect that. I was doing that intentionally, to see if we'll be able to. We are following. That was just so. Like I said, equals to sign first. Then we'll do count A. Open a bracket. Choose our range. The fourth cell and the last cell. The last cell is what? H3. And then we'll close the bracket. So that's the formula. Enter. So you can see it gave us 6 because it is only 6 cells that contains something, contains data. The others are blank. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could see the difference between the different the two functions. So count A is the opposite of count blank. So if you want to count blank cells, use count blank. If you want to count cells that are not blank, use count A. So count A will give you the number. So that's how those two work. Then we have the next one is median. We are actually rounding up. The next function is the median function. After we finish this median function, we'll quickly look at the range finder. So median, how does it work? From those of us that did statistics, you know that median works by giving you the middle number within a group of numbers. But then remember that those numbers must be either arranged in ascending or descending order. So if you look at our numbers now from A3 to F3, which is the first row we're going to be looking at, we discover that the numbers are just scattered. 14, 59, 7, 0, 67 is just scattered. So for us to successfully calculate the median, if we want to do it manually, we'll first of all arrange these numbers. We'll sort it. We'll have to do what? We'll have to sort it in ascending or descending order. And to sort it, we'll select these cells like this, the way we are selecting it, and then come to what? Sort. Sort smallest to largest, or sort largest to smallest. So let's do any one. Let's just choose any option. Expand selection, yeah, go on, sort. So we'll sort the numbers first, and after sorting the numbers, let me highlight everything. Highlight all this, sort. As you can see, we are trying to sort the numbers, okay? Okay, so that's if you are trying to do things manually, but we don't want to do things manually. First we'll sort, and then we'll now try to find the middle number with our eyes. Actually, if you are doing it manually, you find the median with your eyes. But then with the median function, we can do it easily. So what we'll do is, anyhow our number is arranged, we'll just leave it like that, and we'll do equals to median. So we type the median, we open a bracket, we select our number range, A3 to what? F3, close the bracket, enter. It will give us what? 28.5. Now, 28.5. Now the computer will first of all sort these numbers in either ascending or descending order, then pick the middle number and give us. If there is no middle number, it will take the two middle numbers and give us the average, which is why we are having 28.5, as you can see on the screen. So because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, so it will push 2 to the side, 2 to the right and left, pick the two middle numbers and give us the average. Okay, so and all those things the computer did by itself. We don't need to start doing those things ourselves. That's why we use them functions. So equals to median, open bracket, select your range, and press what? And press enter. Equals to median, open bracket, A4 to F4, close the bracket, enter. So this is the formula. Equals to median, then your range inside the enclosed bracket. Your range will be inside the what? The enclosed bracket. So, and then you press what? Enter on your keyboard. The computer will give you what? Your median. Now, there's something I want to say. It's trying to escape my mind. Now, one of the importance of using the cell name in your calculation is that whenever you update your entry, Excel will automatically update your answer. Like for instance, now you can see that in this median we have how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I add another number, I don't need to recalculate. Excel will automatically update the answers. Okay, so let me insert another cell. Let me insert another cell. Insert. Okay, so I've just inserted another cell in between number 6 and the median. That's where we have the result. So I can type number 7. So if I type number 7 and I put 78 and I put 45, then I put 78 and 75. Okay, in this case, let me just update the the formula, come here, include G3, enter, and then here, include G3, enter. Okay, so okay.
Oh no, that one is G4.
G4. Okay, thank you. G4. A4. Okay, so you can see things are just being updated. Now, another case is this. If I change this number to, let me leave this median. Let me use sum to explain that, equals to sum okay. Now you can see that we have the sum of these numbers here. We have the result here. Now, if I change this 399 to 600, and I don't need to come and recalculate this sum again, it will just update. So just be watching this point. You discover that the number will change. Are you seeing the number just changes? Whenever I make any change, the result changes automatically. Now, the reason is because we are using our cell name A3 to what? F3. But if we use the numbers itself instead of the cell name in our calculation, something like that will not happen. That means we'll have to manually, do any, if we change any number here, we'll have to come back here and recalculate or make adjustments also. So that's for that. So we've been able to go, get up to the point of median. We've seen how median works, gives you the middle number. And then finally, I want to talk about if function. If function is not a statistical function, it's actually a logical function. Yeah, it's a logical function, but it's not part of what we are supposed to look at, but I felt it's good we look at it. Yes, if function. So from the sum if and from the count if, average if, we've seen how if works, because all those count if, average if, sum if, there's a combination of two functions, if and sum. So, but then now we want to look at if function alone. And the if function is a logical function, like I said, because there's always a condition. In every logical function, there's a condition. So if this happens, let this be the case. If this does not happen, let this be the case. So in this if function, we would say let this happen if this happens. So you could see this exam. This is an exam, sheet or a score sheet for students. So this is the serial number, the name of student, reg number, department, continuous assessment, exam, score, and then want to calculate grade and also do remark. So how do we calculate their grade? We use the if function. So you could see that in the first one, I've already done the first one. So that's the formula for if function. Think so let me make this big. So this is the formula for if function. So we want to, the score is the sum of what? Their CA and their exam. So this person scored 10. The first person scored 10 in his CA and 15 in his exam. And his total score is 25. So it means that we are going to be using the score, the total score the person obtained, to calculate the person's what? Grade. And then to do that, we use the what? If function. So I'm clearing that. So this is how the if function works. So we have different grades. We have A, we have B, we have C, D, and what? F. So, and there's a score for each what? For each grade. So the if function will be equals to if, remember we are using the score to calculate the grade. So if, open a bracket, G5, which is this score for this person, is greater than or equals to, or we could just do if G5 is greater than, the first one there will be 70. If greater than 70, comma, colon, give the person what? A. So let's put equals to, please, because 70 should be A. So if G5 is greater than or equals to 70, now in this case, it means that if the person scores 69, the person will not have what? A. It's until it's from 70. A is from what? 70 to what? To 100. So if G5 is greater than or equals to 70, comma, give the person grade A. So we have done with the first one. We'll put a comma after the grade, then we'll put another word, if. If, open another bracket, the same G5 is greater than or equals to what? 60, comma, colon, B. So between 60 and 69, give the person B, comma, if, open a bracket, the same G5 is greater than or equals to what? 50, comma, O colon, C. So between 59, 50 and 59, let it be what? C, comma, if, open bracket, the same what? G5 is greater than or equals to what? Now this is D, and I think D is not 40, but 40, 45, right? Somebody should help me. I think it's 45 or 49. No, okay, 40.
D is 45. It's from 40 below that is F. I think so.
Okay, so 45, comma, grade D. So that's D. Then, comma, then this another if, open bracket, G5 greater than equals to 40, comma, E. Then the last one is F. So we don't need to do another if G5 greater than, no. Since the last we want to put the last condition, we just do comma, open bracket, F. And then that will end it. We don't need to do another if G5 greater than equals to 39 or whatsoever. We just put the last. It means that if this condition is not met, now these are different conditions, as you can see. Each of the if is a different word condition. So the Excel is going to check if this particular number 25 meets any of these conditions. So first it will check for the first one. Oh, this 25, is it greater than or equals to 70? No. If it is not, it moves to the next one. It moves to the next one, moves to the next one, moves to the next one. So anyone that fulfills the condition, it will not give us a result, which will be either A, B, C, D, E, or what, or F. If a particular score, please, can you mute your mic, please? Okay, thank you. So once we have entered the last condition like this, we'll now close all the brackets. Remember, we have opened how many brackets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll close 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once we do this, we are done. So I can press enter now and get my results. So this person obviously is an F student. So the person's grade is F because 25 is less than, is not up to 40. Because for the person to get the next grade, the person has to get at least 40. So that's I can do for the others. So you can check the score to see that it corresponds. 75 is an A, 52 is a C, 64 is a B, 25 is still an F. You know, like that. So as you can see.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Okay, you can go on.
Yes. Sorry, I noticed that when you were adding the A, the B, the C, I noticed that after every comma, you gave a space. Right?
Yeah, you can put the space if you want. It's not compulsory, but I always like.
Okay, because in the last one, before the F, the comma before the F, there was no space.
Yeah, you can put. Please, can you mute your mic? Thank you. So you can put the space if you want. She's asking if the space is compulsory. It's not compulsory. I only put the space because I want, you know, in case, you know, for clarity, so that I could easily see what I'm doing. Like, so I could decide to leave the space. I could decide to leave the space. Let me remove the spaces. I will just join everything together. So you can see everything is just meshed together with no spacing. So so that's this is how it is now. It will still give me the answer. So, but I like putting the space so that I can easily identify what is what for what. Like separate this, separate this, separate this, and like that. So the space is not an issue. So you could put it all together. It's just one formula. The most important thing is that you are following it. The formula is correct. If the formula is not correct, there will be an error. If you miss a comma, let's see, let me remove this comma. It's throwing up an error. I just removed the comma from the formula, just one comma is throwing up what? An error. It's saying there's a problem with this formula. So you could see, so the most important thing is that the formula is what is correct. If you miss anything from this formula, things like the quotes, things like the comma, things like the bracket, it will throw up an error. You could decide to omit the greater than or the equals to, it doesn't matter. It all depends on what you want to achieve. You understand? So, and then most importantly, you must close the brackets. If you don't close the brackets, it will also throw up an error. Look at what he's saying. He said, we found a typo in your formula and tried to correct it too. So Excel want to help me correct. I say yes, and then Excel helps me. So your formula has to be correct. So like I said, each of the if function is a condition that Excel will check. This one to check for this, check for this, check for that. So that way we'll get a grade. For the remark, it's still the same formula, but instead of using A, B, C, D, E, F, we'll now be using pass and pass, right? Or could you use distinction, credit, and fail? Okay, distinction, credit, pass, and fail. Maybe we'll just use that. We say equals to if G5 is greater than or equals to 70. Let me still type the formula again, comma. We'll now say something like that. So comma. So we'll put a comma, and then this one 60 will be what? Right? 60 will be credit. If open bracket G5 is greater than or equals to, so you could see that Excel doesn't care whether you type your formula in capital or small letters. It doesn't matter. Type it anyhow. You can combine both capital and small letters anyhow, but most importantly, you must be typing the correct thing. Okay, so let me close. So you close the bracket and press what? Enter. What just happened? Okay, so what I will do, let me just copy this and paste the formula here. Let's change this. Let's change this. Let's change this. Okay, so I just copied the same formula and changed the result. So distinction, credit, pass, pay, fail. So this will be fail, and the others will be the same thing. Okay, so that's for distinction. So the formula is the same. There is no difference. It's just that we are changing something from the formula. All right, so that's the if function. I want to believe we'll have questions. You can ask me, I will answer. Then
Yes. I have a question.
hello.
Is it possible? Yeah, can you hear me?
You said
Please, is it possible to use the grade for the remark instead of the score? Sorry, can you go back to the sheet? The if sheet.
is it possible to use gray?
You know, you use G5. Is it possible to use page 5 instead? Yes, yes, grade instead of using score. Is it possible to use the grade to find the remarks where you
Yeah.
have maybe each F, then it should be this. I don't know. Is it not possible?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's also possible. So instead of using score, we can still use the what? The grade. That's very correct. So instead of using score, we can say H5. We could use H5. And but we would have a problem. So we'll just say if H5 is equals to F. If H5 is equals to F, if H5 is equals to B, I think that's what you want us to is equals to B. Let's try it and see if it will work. Then this H5 is equals to C. Yes. So I think we can remove this. Can remove this.
Yeah, it's FEDCBA.
Okay, so let's use A. Let's use B. Let's use C. And the last one will be F.
D, E, and F. Yeah. A, B, C, D, E, F.
A, B, C, F, right? Is there D? Okay, so A, B, C, F. So 1, 2, 3. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 brackets. So we're closing in 4 brackets. So let's press enter and see if it will work. Okay, so it's not working. Yeah, it's not working. I was not expecting it to work because we are now dealing with alphabets instead of numbers. So
okay, because the alphabets are not recognized as numbers.
Yes, it's not numbers. So we are supposed to be dealing with numbers instead of and not what alphabets. So that's why it's not working. That's just the only thing that is making it not to work. The formula is correct, but now we are saying if H5 is equals to A. A is not a number. A is not a number, so it will not work. H5 equals to B is not a number. If it's a number, it could have worked.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so that's the if function we just saw now. That's how it works. That's the formula. So we can use the if function in different ways. So the next thing I want to talk about is the range finder. The range finder, and I'm going to use let me use the sum function. So in this sum function, we discover that we summed all these numbers to obtain this 1,377. So if I double click, you discover that there's a bounding box highlighting all the numbers that were summed together. Look at it, the blue bounding box. Now that box is highlighting all the numbers that were summed together. So now, for instance, this range finder can be adjusted. It can be adjusted. Like for instance, if I want to include the next row in this sum, I can use the range finder to adjust it. So remember I said the range finder is used to look at or see the numbers that are involved in a particular calculation. So in this particular sum calculation, we can see that all the cells that were summed together are highlighted with the blue bounding box, the thick blue bounding box. So I can adjust it, I can reduce. So if I want to remove this first cell by the left from the summation or from the sum function, I will just click and drag. Like if you check from the corner, from the edge, I will click and drag. You can see I'm removing number 1. I've removed number 1 from the summation. If I press enter now, you discover that the sum will reduce. Okay, so let me allow you see the sum. The sum before is 1,377. So let me remove the first number and press enter. It has reduced to 1,321. I've removed 56. So the next, so I can keep removing. So now I only have 509 within the range. If you check, you discover that the range is changing as I'm moving towards the range finder. You can see the range is changing. Now I'm only adding 509. So this kind of helps us to easily make adjustments. So I can decide to add other numbers. Like I can add all these numbers now. All the numbers in the cell like this. See now at this point now I'm adding all these numbers, all the numbers on the sheet. So I can adjust and add only these two. These two. I can adjust and add just one cell or maybe one. So you can see what I'm moving on the screen. That's what we call the range finder. And I can also move the range finder. If you want to move the range finder, just put it on one of the sides and move it. Now this one, I'm moving it. I'm just moving it around. I'm not increasing or decreasing the range, but I'm moving it around while changing the point where the range finder is. Because anywhere the range finder is, that is the range it is going to sum. I don't know if you understand. So if I move it here, it is now going to sum 79, 81, 101. If I move it here, it's now going to sum 81, 83, 103. So this is how, this is what we call the range finder. So let me bring it back to the way it was before. This is what we had before. So that's how the range finder works. You can use it for any formula. You can use it in any formula. Even this sum if, you can use it, you can adjust it. The mean and the marks, we can do that also. You remember most of the formula we were working on, we are using ranges. We are using a range from this point to this point. We can use the range finder to adjust our range. Instead of editing, we could just adjust our range. Like in this count if, instead of saying Monday to Friday, we could adjust it and just use only Wednesday to Friday. So at this moment, it's only from Wednesday to Friday. You discover that our answer will change from 4 to 2. Like, okay, let me adjust this one to Monday to Wednesday to change from 4 to 2. So that's how the range finder works. Let me adjust it back to include the 5 days. So that blue bounding box is what we call the range finder. The range finder. So you can even use it to troubleshoot. Probably you are getting an answer you are not supposed to get. You know, sometimes you can make a mistake. You might want to sum from A3 to F3, and then you are summing from A3 to F. You're summing from A3 to F4. Now you are actually making a mistake. Your answer will be more than what you are expecting. So once you double click on the cell where your result is, you are going to see the range finder showing you all the numbers that were added. So at this point now, I can see that there's an error because I just want to sum the first row and not the 2 rows. So I can adjust it. I just only want the first row, not what the 2 rows. So I just use the rangefinder, adjust the rangefinder, and then I will have what I want and press enter. So you can see that's what the rangefinder is used for. Use it to adjust your range or to include or increase your range. You could use it to decrease the range and or increase the range. So the last thing we are supposed to look at today, actually this is the class we are having is an introductory class, but it's not something we should do in 3 days. I'm just trying to compress everything together so that we could just cover a whole lot in 3 days. I know the class is supposed to have ended by now, but let's just do the last thing, then we'll go off. Then the last thing is using, checking for errors. Now, when you encounter an error, how do you troubleshoot that error? Like for instance, let me use average to explain error. Let's say for instance, in the average function, we have okay, let me use average if average now if you say average divided by, I will try to divide a number by 0 and see what it will give us. It's going to give us an error because it's not possible to divide a number by what? By 0. So let's say if we have, like we have 152 here, and then I say equals to average A3 to F3. Let me say divided by 0. Now I'm saying divided by what? 0. So you can see the error is giving me division by 0 error. So it's giving me division by what? By 0 error. So now I've gotten this error. How do I check for solve this error? So what I'll do is I'll click on that cell, click on formula, click on the formula tab, as you can see on the screen. Then you see error checking. You see what? Error checking towards the extreme right. Then you click on it. Just click on it, error checking. Or you click on the arrow and click on error checking. So once you click on error checking, let me click on it again. This box will come up. So once this box comes up, you are going to see the Excel trying to show you your error. So look at what it is telling us here. It said division by 0 error. The formula or function used is dividing by 0 or empty cells. So now that is that's the Excel telling you what your error is. Then you can ignore your error. If you think you are not making an error, you can edit the formula, your formula in the formula bar, so that you can correct your error. You can show calculation steps, understand, and see what it will give you. So look at the formula we have that is giving us the division error. So evaluate. It's just like saying 152 divided by 0. It's going to give us an error. So when you've seen your error, I think the best thing to do is to edit your formula in the formula bar and then just remove the 0, and then you can close this box. So whenever you have an error and you don't know what it is, just go to like this one. Instead of using average if, we saw that before. Instead of using average if, I now use average. Now look at, it's giving us what? The value error. There's an error. So I'm supposed to use average if in my formula, but I'm using average. So it's throwing upward an error. So I'll click on the error checking, and then look at what it's telling me. Say a value used in the formula is of the wrong data type. So look at the first thing. It says error in cell G3. So it's showing me the formula, and then error in value. You understand? So there's an error in the formula. Then show calculation steps. So it's showing us that there's an error in. So once you come to this error checking, most times it kind of make you look at things more carefully so that you know what you are doing, because you might think you are using average if and not knowing that you are using what? Average. So once you come to here, you just discover, oh, I'm supposed to use average if, because average is not supposed to have a condition like we have here. So you see that you edit, and then you put your if. You put if that's what you want to use. But if you are not using average if, you just remove this condition, because that's the value the computer is complaining about, and then you can just have your average. But if it is average if you intended using, then you just put the if in front so that you can get your answer. Okay, so that is for error checking. It will help you check for errors. There are different types of errors you encounter. I think we will not be able to talk about that. We've been able to see 2 types of errors: the value error, and then we were able to see the division by 0 error. There's also what we call the name error. So, but irrespective of the kind of error you encounter while working in Excel, just try as much as possible to go to this error checking. Yes, go to the error checking and check for what is happening. Just try to see what's happening and follow, the instructions you are given in Excel. So I think we've been able to go through all we want to go through today. So I'll unmute everybody in the next 5 minutes, questions, comments, and then we'll end the class. Okay, you can go on.
All right. The question I want to ask, there are actually 2, but I think someone already asked that question and you answer. It's about using, if we can use the grade grade alphabet as a reference instead of the numbers or instead of the score. I think we have tried that, and we could see that didn't work out actually. Then the second question I want to ask is for the if function.
Yes.
Is it only the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to conditions that it supports?
Yes, those are the things it supports, because greater than and equals to, those are things we use to create conditional statements. Understand? Those are the things we use to create conditional statement. You could use only equals to if you want. You could use equals to with greater than or less than. You combine them together, or you could use only one of less than or greater than. So depending on what you want to achieve. So you can use only equals to, or use only greater than, or only less than, or you combine greater than, equals to, greater than, less than, or less than, anyhow you want to put them. But those are the things you will use to create that conditional statement.
All right, thank you. One last question, please. The question is, is there any way that we can use, is there any formula that we can use to exclude a particular cell when calculating a range of cells?
Formula you can use to exclude
A particular or some particular cells when calculating or trying to get results for some range of cells.
if you don't want to include the cell in your calculation, then don't put it in the range. Like for instance, if I want to sum these numbers, are you seeing these numbers? You can see,
Yeah.
I want to believe you can see the screen. Now I want to sum 56, 78. I don't want 34 and 100 to be part of it. Then I want to also sum 600 and like I want to sum 56, 79. I want to sum 56, 78, 600 and 509. I don't want 34 and 100 to be part. This is how I would do it. I will say equals to sum. I will say A3 to B3. Then I'll say comma E3 to this thing and close. Enter. So those two now, are you seeing the range finder? These two are not included.
Yeah.
So it will take this two, take this two, leave these two.
Okay.
Yeah. If I want to remove this, I will just, do it like this. So now at this point, I'm adding 1 to this. All these ones are not included. So that's how you do it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So any other question from any other?
I have one question. Yes,
All right.
I have a question. So for the grade, when we're doing those students, now the sheet shows that they are all, I think, in chemistry department.
Yes.
Yes. So imagine that in the sheet we have different departments because of the GS course. We have people in chemistry, people in law, and all that.
Yes.
And I want to know the number of students that are in chemistry. That's what I know. And
Yes.
the number of people in law and other things.
Yes.
Which formula is it? The count if that we use to detect that?
Yes, it's the count if. Like we said, you use the count if now. It will be, look at the screen now, you can see the count if function we used before. So what will be here now will be, instead of P, it will now be what? If you want to find for industrial chemistry, you put what? Industrial chemistry in between the quotes. Then if you want to find for another department, maybe law, you put law in between the quotes. So within the range, that range where we have department, it is only going to give you those people that are in law, and then give you those people that are in industrial chemistry, like that. So you use the count function. Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. So any other question?
Please, I also have a question.
All right, go on.
Okay. In the first class yesterday, you used autofill function to find the sum.
Yes.
Like of the first row. Yes. And then you now use autofill to get the remaining.
Yes.
Okay. Now today you used autofill also to get the remaining answers, but you didn't use the $sign. And then I wanted to ask why. How come it works without the $sign?
Okay, the $sign for yesterday was, we used the $sign yesterday when we were talking about constant values. So
yes.
That's when you want to make a value constant.
Okay.
Yes, within your worksheet. And I used something to demonstrate it yesterday. You want to add a single number to, let's say for instance, I want to increase all these numbers we have here. Want to increase them by, want to add the number maybe 50 to all of them. Yes, so we have to make that particular number constant, and so that it could add. Let me copy this and put here 79. So this is 79. Then I could.
Okay, I understand.
Yes, if you want to add.
So I guess my question now is, if you want to autofill this one now, the ones you have, the remaining 3 rows, you just drag from the first one.
Yes, drag from the first one down and get the
And that's all.
yes, that's all.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Excel,
then my second question.
okay.
Sorry, you were saying something.
Now what I wanted to say is that Excel follows what? A pattern. If you are using the, we are getting our answers for the others from the first one.
Yes.
Yes, so Excel will follow the pattern that we used for the first one to give us the answers for the second.
Yes.
So Excel will check that, oh, we added all these numbers by the left to get this. So automatically Excel will add all the numbers by the left to give us the others. So it is not going to add the numbers by the right. So even if there's no number here, let's assume no, there's no number here. In this one, let me clear it, clear content, and I drag down. Excel will give me what? 0, like you can see in that point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it will follow that particular pattern we used for the first one we are using to get the other answers. But if we want to make something change, we could use a constant value. Okay, I want this 600 to be added to all of them. If I keep that 600 constant like this by adding the dollar sign, if I drag that now, that 0 will change to 600.
Okay.
So this,
Yes, now I understand.
yeah. All right. So you said you have another question.
Thank you. Yes, I did have another question.
All right.
Okay, you said when we want to use Autosum,
Yes.
like from the
Home tab.
function tab,
Yes.
from the home tab,
Yes.
like on this G6 where 740 is,
Yes.
assuming it's empty. If we do Autosum there,
Yes.
is it going to give us for the rows or for the columns? How does Excel know what we want to do?
Okay. Let's try it. Autosum. Now it's trying to give us for the column. Now that's because we have, now we have some numbers up and we have some numbers on the rows too. So
Yes.
So now Excel is making a mistake. What I want Excel to do is to add the numbers by the left. That's the ones on the row. So Excel is making a mistake.
Mm.
So that is where we will now use our range finder. You can see the
Range finder.
range finder is there.
Okay.
Just
Yes.
adjust the range finder or move it.
Okay.
Adjust it. Adjust it to what you want, and then you press what? You press your enter so that you get your value. Why is he giving us? Why is he giving me 0? Okay, I know why he's giving me 0. Let me remove this constant value. Okay. Yeah. So when we use the Autosum, just adjust your range finder and get what you want. So
Okay.
just adjust your range finder and get what you want. Because Excel, it's because it's automatic. Excel might make mistake like we can see, but always adjust your range finder to get what you want. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other question? Okay. So I know some people have run away. Some people have gone off. Like I said, the class is being recorded. Today we had some issues with network. Tomorrow, we'll meet finally tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to be looking at how to work with constant values. At the beginning I mentioned constant values, but now we'll look at constant values now in depth, and then also constant formulas. We look at how we work with constant values and constant formulas. We'll look at how to format the worksheet, and finally we'll look at how to print the worksheet. So you could see that in some of these my worksheets. Some of these my worksheets, I did some formatting. You could see the arrangement and everything. So we'll learn how to do something like that. So we'll look at that tomorrow. So by 4 p.m. we'll meet. The class will not take this long. It's because of some of the issues we had today that it's taking this long. All right. So if you have further questions, you can always drop it on the WhatsApp group, and the question will be
Thank you.
attended
Thank you
to.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, everybody. I will end the class now. Good night.
You.